We've spent a few days exploring some of the challenging relationships that we have to manage, but it's important not to lose focus on the good relationships that we need to foster. Good relationships don't just happen, they take investment over time. Over 80 years, Harvard University has followed the lives of a wide range of people, from Harvard graduates to inner city residents. The results of their research are summarised on the video to the right of this one on the website. But in brief, they've found that the biggest factor that influences people's health and happiness is having good relationships. They found that good relationships help protect people from life's challenges, help delay mental and physical decline, and are better predictors of long and happy lives than social class or IQ or even genes. The study showed that it wasn't down to the number of relationships we have, nor whether we are in a committed relationship, but it was the quality of those close relationships that mattered. Think about the people in your life now or in the past that build you up, those people who you can just be yourself with, those people who you trust, the people who you know will be there for you. And when you think about these people, what are the qualities of those friendships that make them special? For me, what makes those sort of friendships special is that I know those people know me, they've seen me at my worst, they've seen my failures, they've been angry with me and spoken truth to me, sometimes even if it hurts. They've picked me up when I've fallen, they've forgiven me, and they've also been open and honest with me about their hopes and fears and failings. Friendships like that don't just happen. They take time and investment and a willingness to be vulnerable. And being that vulnerable is scary. So we need to build up trust in a person first, which is why it takes time. Trust enough to take off our masks and to lean into those friendships. That's another reason to get good at forgiving, because guarded hearts struggle to let people get close for fear of being hurt. Close relationships don't just grow in bouncing from one joy or pleasure to the next, although having fun together is a great way that we often get to know people. Also, close relationships won't develop by avoiding conflict or discomfort, because putting off dealing with some things can lead to an inner tension that can have a negative impact on our mood and behaviour. All relationships include times of disagreement, tension and anger. And working through those differences, seeking understanding, forgiving and being forgiven are all ways in which relationships grow. As Nadia Bolz-Weber says in the second supplementary video today, the jagged edges of our humanity are what connect us to each other. Those wounds and failures and misconceptions and mistakes are the things that create enough texture on us that God and our fellow human beings have something to grab onto. The Harvard study shows that investing in our relationships is critical to our well-being. If we just take from our relationships, then they will never be fulfilling. Growth in a relationship comes through mutual experience and mutual service, how we give and invest into that relationship. The love, openness, honesty, truth and happiness that we can find by investing in close relationships frees us from pretense and strengthens us for the difficulties that life can throw at us. Perhaps this is one of the reasons that Jesus gave his disciples that commandment, that they should love one another as he had loved them. Jesus invested time and love in relationships, and he knew that his disciples would need those close relationships to sustain them in the challenges that lay ahead of them. Our relational well-being is also influenced by factors that extend well beyond the people that we are close to. When we see on the news the pain and horror of people caught up in war, when we see the suffering that's being caused by climate change, when we know that there are people that are struggling with the cost of living, when we hear of people being hurt or abused by others, then this also affects our relational well-being. Back to the quote from John Donne earlier this week, no man is an island. We're all connected. And the suffering of any person can affect my relational well-being. I think that's one reason that Jesus stressed the importance of the commandment to love our neighbours as ourselves. And then, in the story of the Good Samaritan, he made it clear that our neighbour was anyone in need, even if they were among the people that we despised. So our relational well-being is also tied up with the environment around us, natural and man-made. And when we do our part to help alleviate the suffering of others and the suffering of our planet, when we invest in those wider relationships, then again we find that our relational well-being improves. I've mentioned before that all the dimensions of our well-being affect each other, but what links them all together into an integrated whole is our spiritual well-being. Spiritual well-being is not necessarily religious, but it holds all the other dimensions together, and it involves being connected to something greater than ourselves that gives us a framework of values, principles, morals and beliefs that provides a sense of purpose and meaning to life. A strong spiritual well-being can help all of the other dimensions of our well-being and have a huge impact on the size of our resilience tank. So how can we understand and nurture our spiritual well-being? Well, we'll look at that next week. I hope you can join us.